Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's me, Brandon. I'm here to give you my comic book review, so here we go. First up is Wildstorm. I really like this entire issue because I really like the artwork and I love the characters that are going to be introduced in the Wildstorm comic book. And I like the story and the dialogue for this comic book. Plus, it features Grifter, so knowing him, it's going to be awesome comic book. So 10 out of 10 for me on that one. Next up is the entire DC comic Hanna-Barbera crossover event. I loved this entire event because I loved how DC and Hanna-Barbera are bringing their popular and most profitable characters onto the comic book screen. So, and I also liked it because some comic books, especially Booster Gold and Adam Strange Future Quest, and Suicide Squad Banana Splits, I liked it because they were funny and zany, and it was just really, really well done and well put up with. And I liked Green Lantern Space Ghost because, of course, come on. Dude! Green Lantern and Space Ghost. They're both space cops. One of them is in the Hanna-Barbera universe that was previously done by DC Comics back in like 2006, like 2003 to 2006 era. And one of them is the Jeff Drawn version of the Green Lantern, and I liked this comic book, especially with all the rest. It was great, it was funny, it was serious, and it was zany. So, a 10 out of 10 for me on those 4 comic books. Next up, we have The Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, number 8. And if you couldn't tell, this book was made by Frank Miller, who, if you guys don't know, was born in Montpelier, Vermont. And this, to me, is like an homage because, you know, I mean, come on, it's Frank Miller. He's done some good comic books in the past for Marvel and DC Comics. And he was born right here in Vermont. Yes, born in Vermont. But enough of the history. Let's get to the comic book. I loved it because the entire fight with Wonder Woman and the Kryptonian army was really epic. And it shows that Wonder Woman can be a badass. And I also liked it how Bruce Wayne is like aged a bit younger, so he's still like Batman. He's still Batman, but he's a lot younger, like in his 30s, and I really loved this entire comic book because not only does it include Wonder Woman and Batman, but it also includes The Flash and Batgirl and Superman, and yeah, I really like this entire comic book, so 10 out of 10 for me on this one. Frank Miller, you never cease to amaze me. Sorry about that. I had to do some things around in my house, but I will continue on from where I left off. Batgirl and Supergirl, annual number 1. Loved it. I loved this entire comic book because not only does it feature Batgirl, who, as we all know, as Barbara Gordon, but we also feature Supergirl in this entire comic book. And I loved their dynamic duo-ness. I just loved their entire conversation while Supergirl and Batgirl were breaking into Cadmus and freeing one of the prisoners that was supposedly a metahuman. And I loved their entire conversation, and I can't wait to see this happen in Supergirl issue number 9, which is going to be great because I know it. I do. And I will give this comic book a 10 out of 10. Keep it going, DC. DC should make a Batgirl Supergirl comic book. I would love that if they did that. Cause they do that with the Superman Batman comic book. They already did that, and now they're doing it with Super Sons. So it kind of makes sense if you put Batgirl and Supergirl like in a comic book together. I would love that. That would be awesome. So 10 out of 10 for me on this one. Let's see. Justice League of America, issue number 3. I loved this entire issue. It was so good. I couldn't stand it. It was just so good. And just look at the cover. Oh, wow. This is just awesome. Lobo is... trying to think. Lobo is showing us in the comic book cover that he can be a badass. Okay, Lobo. We all know Lobo. And he's a badass. And I loved this entire comic book. I loved it. I couldn't help seeing this. You know, when I saw this cover, I was like, holy shit. Lobo versus the Tracker. And Tracker is an extremist. Basically, Tracker has the superpowers of Lobo, but to a more steroidized level. Basically, Tracker can smell up to one cell in a person. And that's how you can track people, by tracking them down to one cell. Like, in your entire body, he can track you down with one cell. Doesn't matter if it's skeletal or muscle or organs or blood or nerves or skin. It doesn't matter. He will do what he has to do in order to track you down. Even if it's smelling blood or organs or veins or muscles or skeletals or even skin. He can smell you just by those types of cells. And I loved that he can do that. Basically, I love this entire book because now they're planning to liberate Kravnia, which is... Kravia. They have a little picture of it that I want to show you guys. See, that right there is Kravia. And now Lord Havoc right here, this guy, wants to control this island and a bunch of other states that are connected to that little state right there. Basically, it's just he wants world domination. That's what he wants. But I liked this part right here because it shows Liberty Bell's shield, and Liberty Bell is another DC hero. I'm not really sure when she came, like when her first debut was, but she is technically a DC hero. And I liked that DC decided to put her as like a cameo. I loved that part. It was really good, actually. I loved it. And I loved how Batman got the shield because, well, he's Batman. So I like the ending. It was really good. And now they're going to kick Lord Havoc's butt, which I cannot wait to see in the next upcoming issues. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for me on this one. And if you guys want, you can buy your comic books at your local comic book store, depending on where you live. You can also buy them digitally. Or if you want, you can also get them on Amazon Prime or Amazon Kindle, and they come out like on the same day that the comic books that I have over here come out. So, yeah, I liked it. I like that they're doing that. It's really good. Let's see, I'll do Wonder Woman. I'll do a couple of other comic books, and then that'll be that. Basically, I really like this entire issue because this issue right here technically leaves off from issue 17. And the only part I do not like about the Wonder Woman comic books is that they have 2 story arcs, one in each issue. And I don't like it. It confuses a lot of readers. Basically, just don't do it. Just stick to an arc. Then when you're done with the story arc, move on to the next one. This is my complaint for DC comic books for Wonder Woman. I liked that they're doing Wonder Woman, but you gotta keep it going with the arcs. You just can't have one arc in this issue, one arc in this issue, one arc in this issue. It just confuses a lot of people, basically. But here's the only thing I like about this comic book. Cheetah comes back. That's the only thing I like about this comic book, is that Cheetah comes back, and basically she's a lot more vicious than ever before. And I like how Cheetah and Colonel Maru and trying to think of one. And the leader that's for Godwatch, I like how their interactions are going with the entire story. That's what I like. That's what I like. I just like the way that they're putting the Amazon gods in animals as well. I like that Inception. Like, all the gods are various animals on Themyscira. I liked it. I like the idea of that. But I just don't really like the entire issue. Because it just gets confusing to just basically stating what I said before. It basically gets confusing when you have to read another arc that's totally different from this arc in the next issue, and you have to wait until like issue 21 to read it. Yeah, like read the next issue. That's the only thing I don't like about this entire arc, is that they have two arcs, but they're competing for each other in the same comic book. Now, what my plan would be if I was in DC is, if I was working over there, I would start with one arc, continue it all the way to the end, start the other arc, and then continue on like that. Just like that. And if I have to, I would put subtle differences and subtle explanatory stuff in there to let the readers know, hey, this is what happened in this issue, this is what happened in that issue, read this issue to find out what happens here, yada 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 yada. But that's the only thing I don't like about this comic book, is that the arc for issues 19, 20, 21, 22, it just, well, okay, for issues number 19 and 20, which will happen in like another week or so right now, it just gets confusing. Even though I have never read issue number 20, I'm just saying issue 20 is going to start off with issue 18, and it's just going to get confusing. So that's the only downfall of this comic book that I have problems with. And I like how the main villain is setting up for future events. That's basically what I liked. This one, I'm going to have to definitely give a 7 out of 10, just because the arc for this and the next issue is going to be really confusing to some readers. Hey. The next issue right here is going to be Kamandi Challenge, issue number 3 of 12. I really like this entire comic book, and I'm not going to explain the story as to why, but I like how DC writers are giving their interpretations of the situation for Kamandi. And I like how the drawers and the writers and the artists go, and I just like this entire challenge. This one, definitely a 10 out of 10 for me on that one. Mother Panic. This is the next one I'm going to do right now. Mother Panic. First thing first, I love this comic book. It's dark, it's gritty, it's action-packed. It's basically a good Batman book, but full on steroids. And plus, I like it how she says the F word too. I mean, come on. No other hero says the F word. Like, nobody. Batman has said some swearing cuss words in the past, but he doesn't usually say them a lot, which is why I love this comic book. This main character right here, I forget her name. I think it's like Miss Page or something. Violet Page, thank you. I love how she just basically tells everybody else to back the F off. I love this entire issue because of that. And I love how... I can't even think straight. And I love it how this issue explains, like, the differences between, like, major event issues. Like, you know, like, just major event issues. You know, I don't know how to explain it. I just like it how they explain a little bit, like, how she's being all, like, drugged up to do stuff, and basically she's like Slade Wilson, but, like, in female form, which is what I like. I just really like this entire issue. I don't know why, it just does. I like how they explain issues in this comic book, like major issues, and I like how she has, like, this Batman-esque looking mask. I just really liked it. And basically, I love this entire comic book issue because, well, we now know that the main character is a lesbian, kind of, sort of. Because there's one scene where they describe, her being as a lesbian, but for right now, I'm just not going to show it to you guys because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube and all that stuff. So, yeah, basically, she's just a lesbian, and not being sexist or anything, but I would not mind reading a comic book that has a lesbian in it. I think that they need more comic books in general with gay or lesbian protagonists. I just really think that they should have more comic books that have gay and lesbian protagonists. And I like how her no-kill rule finally comes in. I just love this entire comic book issue. But yeah, this one, definitely a 10 out of 10 for me on that one. Last but not least, Batman, The Coming of Kurare. Kurare, whatever you call her. She's basically like a ninja. Stealth ninja. And I like this entire comic book because, well, basically you see her hopping from rooftop to rooftop. You see her going up against other stealth ninjas, and yeah, basically she goes up against other stealth ninjas with different weapons, and she kicks them all, kicks all of their butts. Then she hijacks the car, and then lo and behold, Bruce Wayne is alive. The old Bruce, is alive. Well and done. I love this entire comic book issue of Maxine and Terry's little brother and old Bruce Wayne because I loved how basically Bruce tells them that what Terry is wearing, which is this guy right here, this guy right here, the black-haired guy, the costume that Terry's wearing is eventually going to kill him. And I loved this entire comic book because of what those three, Terry's little brother, Maxine, and Bruce Wayne, I loved how their conversation starts off with, you know, them getting Bruce Wayne acclimated back into the Batcave, and like them telling him like how Futures End and everything else came along, and I just liked it. I really did. I liked it. I just couldn't like it. I couldn't. No, I loved this entire issue because of that. I love this entire issue. Not because of the conversation that these three guys have, but the entire comic book has to deal with Kurare and how she needs to talk with Batman. We don't know what's going on, like what's happening, but we all know that she's gonna have a talk with Batman somewhere down the line. And I loved that whole thing that she had to deal with Barbara Gordon with. I just couldn't help it. I love this entire comic book. This is a really, really good comic book. If you guys loved watching the Batman Beyond series and have most of the comic books that came in the New 52, you guys should definitely get this one. And you guys should definitely get issues number 1 through 5 and Rebirth number 1. Because, oh my god, they're really good. They're just really good issues. So, yeah, if I were you guys, I would get right on it. So, yeah, definitely 10 out of 10 for me on that one. So, that's it, guys. I will be here all day and all week. So, yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that, that if you want to, you can subscribe, comment, and like my video. And I will see you guys in the next comic book review. Thank you very much, and have a good week. Peace.